Hey, what's going on, everybody? What's happening? What's shaking? What's doing? Welcome to episode 37 of Saturday Movie Night. If you are watching after the fact, and I am not live, I'm live as I'm doing this thing right now, but if you're watching after the fact, that means you're not part of my level number 2 or 3 Patreon. And what is Saturday Movie Night? Well, the description is in the description box below, but Saturday Movie Night happens at the, we try to do it the last Saturday of every month, and I put up a poll on my Patreon, and my level number 3 patrons get to vote on which movie we watch. But if you are part of level number 2, let me try that again. Level number 2, you can join in on the live stream as well. So, but if you want to get a chance to vote, you got to be part of level number 3. Anyway, that's essentially what it is. And last Saturday Movie Night, we decided that, you know what, we're going to do a John Candy poll. Why not put up some John Candy movies? We watched The Naked Gun last Saturday Movie Night, so we decided to put up some John Candy movies. I'm a huge John Candy fan. Gone way too soon. He died in March of 1994 at the age of 43 or 44. It's hard to believe that I'll be 43 next month in May, and it's hard to believe that I'm about to eclipse him, in the next year or two, in my age. It feels so weird that every movie I see him in, he's now younger than me. It's just kind of weird, but it's like that with a lot of fucking shit from the 80s, isn't it? Love John Candy, one of my favorite actors of all time, one of my favorite comedians of all time, going back to the SCTV days. He was fantastic. His first real starring leading man kind of role in a comedy, I believe, was Summer Rental in 1995. Not his first movie. He had been in movies before that, like Vacation and Splash and all that kind of stuff. But his first real sort of leading kind of man film, I believe, was Summer Rental in 85. And of course, you go on to, Planes, Trades, and Automobiles, Uncle Buck, Who's Harry Crumb, Delirious, Only the Lonely. He had a great dramatic role in JFK. Love John Candy, a legendary comedian gone way too soon. And I, unfortunately, did not get a chance to meet him, but my father and my brother Neil did. My dad, obviously, because of his job, and my brother Neil because he was my father's son. But he was older, right? Neil is 9 years older than me. And in the late 80s, early 90s, John Candy was part owner of the Toronto Argonauts of the CFL, the Canadian Football League. And I lived in Ottawa around this time. And the Argonauts were in Ottawa taking on the Ottawa Rough Riders. And my dad, doing my dad thing, wheeling and dealing and setting shit up, was able to get my brother Neil, who was a huge John Candy fan, an opportunity to meet him. And I was too young. I think it was like an after the game kind of thing. It was like a very late kind of thing, like after party or something. And in 91, I was like, 11, 12. So I think I was too young to go to this kind of event, but my brother Neil was like 20. So he was like the ripe age for it. And I have a photo here that was taken of my brother Neil and John Candy in about 91, I think it is. There's going to be a glare on this because it's in a frame, but hopefully you can see that there. There we go. That's my brother Neil there, and that is John Candy. Such a great photo. Really cool indeed. And then somewhere in and around that time, there was this photo that was snapped of my dad and John Candy. I don't know if this was the same event. It might have been the same event. I'm not sure, but that's my father there hanging out with John Candy, the late, great John Candy. And if only I had been a little bit older, like maybe even 16 or 17, I think my dad would have totally invited me to come as well. But I was far too young. I was like 11. So I'm like, damn it, I didn't get a chance to meet John Candy. I would have loved to have met John Candy. So I'm a big John Candy fan. And I was pulling for the movie Who's Harry Crumb. I was really hoping that Who's Harry Crumb was going to win the poll. If you haven't seen Who's Harry Crumb, it's one of my favorite John Candy films of all time. But The Great Outdoors won. No real surprise there. It's a classic Candy movie. It's a classic Dan Aykroyd movie. Two Canadian titans. John Candy born in Toronto, Dan Aykroyd born in Ottawa. And so, you know, you got the battle of the Canadian comedians in this movie. And I couldn't be more happier to watch this film because it's one of my favorites. So let's go into it. Wait. Before we do, I should acknowledge the chat room. Cody Snyder is here. Andrew Stevens is here. Reese Wilson, my man. It's probably like 8 a.m. where you are, of course. Great to see you here, and we'll see who rolls on in. Throughout the hour. Like I said, sometimes people don't watch live. They watch after the fact because of schedules. It is Saturday night, and who the hell wants to spend their Saturday night with me, really? I mean, there's probably a lot of better other things you could do. I don't know what that says about you guys. But anyway, let's do this. I am paused. I'm watching this off iTunes because, believe it or not, YouTube does not have it for rent, which is usually where I rent my movies. So where the hell? Oh, I got to do this thing again here. Hang on. I am watching it off of iTunes, and I am paused on the Universal Pictures logo. So you have the Earth, and it says Universal Pictures, or actually just says Universal, an MCA company. That's where I am. So if you want to line your copy up to that point, let's do this. All right, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh yeah, some John Candy, The Great Outdoors. Take out the papers and I think that's the thing that pops up, right? Wait, where are we here? There we are. Oh. There we go. Take out the papers and you don't get no spending cash. That's where I am. Nope. Well, I sometimes turn up the volume in some cool spots, but this is great. You know what's funny? I used to think when I was a kid, and maybe it's because the movie stars two Canadian legends, but and this, by the way, this I believe is Annette Bening's very first movie, I think. I think it's her first movie, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong on that, but I think it might be. Not her first experience. I mean, she came from the stage, but I think it might be her first movie. Anyways, I used to think that they were in Canada in the movie. And I think it's because John Candy's Canadian, Dan Aykroyd's Canadian, and also there's that scene with the old man that's dead. And John Candy's character, he's like, he says something like, you see, kids, this is the oldest man in Canada. He says something like that. And so I was always assumed that they were in some rural area of like, I don't know, BC or Ontario or something. But according to the official synopsis, no, they are vacationing in Wisconsin, which of course is a bordering state to Canada. At least I think it is. It's very close anyway. But no, they're not actually in Canada. But I think that one line, it's the oldest man in Canada, folks. I think he says that. Does he say that? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he says something else. Because I'm pretty sure he doesn't say this is the oldest man in Wisconsin. Anyway, I always used to think this took place in Canada, but it does not. Fucking love this movie. Well, now, and I believe these trees are fake. They were just put there, if I'm not mistaken, I may be wrong, for the movie, just to create this scene where they could open the doors and hit the stuff. I think so. Cody says, Twins came out the same year and had this song. It did. Yeah. Yakety yak, don't talk back. Yakety yak. You're right, Cody. It did. I love how Dan Aykroyd, he plays this role. Like, it's, both of them play their respective roles so well. Like, the characters are so clearly defined. So good. So good. Yes, northern tipped next to Minnesota. That's right. That's right. Yeah, but I think I was just confused because of that one line. He's the oldest man in Canada, folks. He says something like that. And I was like, oh, I guess they're in Canada, which would make sense because, I mean, it looks like you're in a rural part up here. But it's not. It also looks like a rural part of Wisconsin. What can I do you for? What can I do you for? This is great. Oh, there's nothing worse. And you know what? If there's one thing that Bob Barker was right on is have your pet spayed or neutered. Please. There's nothing. I mean, yes, it helps control the pet population, but I just can't. There's nothing worse than a dog or cat in heat. It's awful. It's awful. Kevin Fishgall, my man, is here. Says, my dad absolutely loved this movie. I wouldn't watch it with him. I would watch it with him all the time. He belly laughed so hard during the water ski scene. Great flick. Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. It's such a good movie. You know, it's just so, like I said a few moments ago, the distinct personalities of Chet and Ronan, is that his name? I'm blanking for some reason. Is so clearly defined. You know, Chet is clearly that, you know, nice guy, basically exactly a perfect John Candy character, right? And you got Dan Aykroyd playing that slimy, weaselly, you know, who ends up having a bit of heart at the end of the movie. But yeah, it's totally, it's so well defined. It's so fun. Roman, that's it. Ronan. Why I said Ronan, I have no idea. You want to know why I think I said Ronan? Because I was thinking of the camera rig, the Ronin. I had that on my mind today because I was looking at something. I think that's why I said that. But it's hard to believe that all these actors are, I mean, I can't speak for everybody in the chat room, but, or watching after the fact, but it's hard to believe, like, what year was Dan Aykroyd born? Dan Aykroyd, my man. I love Dan Aykroyd. He was born in 52, so yeah, he's younger than me here. He's 31, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's like 35 here. He's 35 here. And John Candy would have been in his 30s. They're all in their 30s here. It's so weird. It is something that I've noticed it as I get older. Yeah, that when I watch movies, some actors still, like I still feel like they're older than me, even though I've now surpassed them. It's very strange. I love this. He's such a nice guy trying to be sexy. It's so good. It's so good. Reese Wilson says, I forgot Robert Prosky appears in this. Love him. Yes. Yes. Yep. Yeah, he's great. Doesn't Roman... Yeah, he comes in a second with the big shoulder VHS camcorder. Or VHS quarter. Video camera. And he's like... I love it. He plays this so well. Like I would have loved to have seen John Candy. And that's the thing too, right? Is that, Candy died. I don't think no, that's not true. Aykroyd and Candy were in, they were in another movie together, weren't they? Was it Armed and Dangerous that they were in together? I think there was another movie they were in together. Yeah, that's the part I'm at, if anybody wants to know. I'm 8 minutes and 13 seconds in. A little bit of side boob there. These twins, of course, they're, probably in their 40s now, but they would have made good Shining twins. What other movie were they in? They were in another movie too. Oh, they were in quite a few, but I like this conversation as well when they're, he goes on I'm totally I don't know. It depends on my mood. Who are you in this movie? That's what I'll ask the chat room. Who are you in this movie? And if you're watching after the fact, what character would you be in this movie? I'm a combination of both. Like in terms of the intensity and the seriousness of Roman and how he's like, just kind of some of the things, like in this scene here, when he goes off and he tells what he sees, right? When he looks out across the water and what he sees, depending on my mood, I could see myself going overboard and, saying something weird. But then at the same time, I could totally see myself as John Candy in this scene as well. And just be like, I see trees. Yep. I love John Candy's face there when Roman's going off and he's like, he's like, dude, I just asked you what you see. Like, can't you just say a beautiful lake? It's so good. Cody says, more Chet, but there's some Roman in there. I think there's a little Roman in all of us. I think there might be a little Roman in all of us. Yeah, I love that. I see trees. Well, no one accused you of having a grand vision. Nope. So good. Kevin Fishgall says they bought it hook, line, and sinker. We would vacation. We would vacation up the mountains in Pennsylvania, I think that is. And my dad would tell the bear story from the movie in his own perspective to my young cousins. Oh, that's so awesome. That's so awesome. I love that, Kevin. And they bought it hook, line, and sinker. That's so great. Reese says, yeah, Dave, I know how you feel. I can't believe I'm older than what Harrison Ford was in Raiders. Yeah, it's so weird. We're older than Harrison. Well, we're older than all of them, really. Well, the main leads, Luke, Leia, and Han, were older than they all were in the Star. Well, yeah, in the Star Wars films. Yeah, because Ford was born in 42. Raiders came out in 81, so he was like 38 or 9 when he shot that movie. He was probably like 40 when he did Jedi. I mean, it's crazy. And it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. I mean, my birthday's in less than a month. The big 4-3. It's so weird. I don't feel 43 at all, which is a good thing. It's a good thing. Yeah. Wow. Hot. I'm really thirsty. I went for a run today. My first run in a few weeks because I was under the weather, right? So I decided to go for a run today and it was all right. I did 6 kilometers. I usually do between 5 and 7. I've been doing 7 a lot lately. I did 6. My cardio was fine, but my body, I felt really tired because obviously I'm just still getting over a cold and I haven't ran in 3 weeks. So my body was, I noticed it with my body and my legs were very tired, but funny enough, cardio, like in terms of my Cardio, I was fine. I thought I was going to struggle, but I did 6K, which is pretty good. So actually, it's very good. Excuse me. I think that's about just over 3 miles, I think. Something like that. Hey, Happy Sanjo has made his way into the chat room. Oh, you've never seen The Great Outdoors? Dude, it's a classic, man. It's a classic. You should watch it if you've never seen The Great Outdoors, I don't know if you're watching along with us, and you don't have to be either, but definitely watch it on your own away from this so you can concentrate and take it in. If you love John Candy, if you love Dan Aykroyd, if you love 80s comedies, then you should love The Great Outdoors. It's such a great film. I love the competition between the two characters too. It's so great. I love when he's got the beer there and he's like, hey, I'm enjoying Chet's arguing. Seems like such a blowhard there, like a big barrel. I'm eating, getting fat and shit. And Chet. Just the way he does it, it's so good. Do you guys love the sounds of loons? Oh, I love loons. They're so hot. Ooh, man. I love the sound of a loon. You know, I can't do it, but it's that kind of, like it's so haunting. Ooh, it's so haunting. Love it. Annette Bening. Yeah, like I said, I think this is Annette Bening, and I love Annette Bening. She was great in The American President with Michael Douglas. She was great in the fucking American Beauty. She's great in pretty much everything she's in. I think she's a 3-time Academy Award nominated actress, maybe 3 or 4 times. I don't think she's won, but she's been nominated quite a few times. And I think this is her first movie. I love this. See, this is me. This is me in Chet. Turning off all the lights, setting the mood. Not all the lights, but, some of the lights. So you can create a bit of a mood and ambiance, and then telling the story about the big bear encounter, which he's totally exaggerating. Like there obviously was some sort of bear encounter, but he's embellishing for the sake of entertainment, right? And I love it. And I love the way this looks, this is totally me. I would be the guy doing this. If we were all hanging out at a cabin, this would be me. I'd be getting you all drunk and then I'd be telling you the story. Or some story that may or may not be true. I'm just saying. Hey, Frank! Great to see Frank. My man, Frank, I was pulling for Who's Harry Crumb, man. I wanted Who's Harry Crumb, but The Great Outdoors won. Still a great flick, though. I love it. Yeah, they are, Cody. They are. You're right. Her expressions, so good. She's so good. And she's young here, too. I mean, she's like early 30s, maybe? Frank says she should win an award for sleeping with Warren. Yeah, he is quite a bit older than her. I think Annette Bening is like, I don't know, 62, 63 now. And I think Warren Beatty's like 82 or 84. I think he's like 20 years older than her. They've been together, they've been together a long time. Shout out to them. I've always loved this scene. The way that he's so animated and he's so theatrical, right? Like I can relate because this is what I'd be doing. If I had kids, this is what I'd be doing. I'd be a great father that way. I've been told that he's like, Dave, why don't you have kids? You'd be a great father. I was like, yeah, I think I would be a great father, but I just don't want the responsibility. I think it's good to know that. There's too many people out there having kids who should not be having kids. That's why I let all my friends have kids, and then I can be Uncle Dave. I love it. The floorboards. I love that. The walls start shaking and the floorboards start moving. It's like, what the fuck? That's so good. Frank says, Dave, nowadays we be telling scary stories of wokeness or STDs. You may be right. You may be right. It'll be funny. Yeah, it's true. I don't know what scary. I love this. The bald-headed killer bear. I love the way he tries to make that sound like very scary. He's like, the bald-headed killer bear of Clare County. So great. The world could use a good John Candy movie. It's so like I often wonder what other movies he would have done, you know, because like I said, he was essentially my age when he died. You know, like a year older, maybe like 44 or something, but he wasn't old. He could have, I mean, if he was big though. He had put on, he was a lot heavier than he is here. I just wish he would have, that there could have been so many more movies, like the rest of the night, like what kind of movies he would have done. He would have slowed down too, like everybody does. You know, he would have slowed down. It's not like we would have had, you know, but he certainly through the rest of the 90s, there would have been more John Candy comedies into the 2000s for sure. And then I could see him maybe taking a bit of a shift. Maybe he would be doing more dramatic roles or whatever, right? Because he would have got into his 50s and then 60s. And it's tough for comedians to remain, when you're a physical comedian, not that John Candy was a physical comedian. He had physical elements to his comedy, but especially when you're a physical comedian. But it applies to all comedic actors, really. And I've talked about this before, when you get to a certain age, it no longer is, it's because you look older and you look like an older man. So a lot of the slapsticky kind of stuff or the theatrical things that you would do just kind of look, it looks kind of sad in some ways, you know? It's like Rowan Atkinson trying to be Bean now. You know, it's like this 60-year-old, he just looks like an old man who's having dementia problems, you know, as opposed to a 30-year-old guy who's being silly, right? Jim Carrey, same thing. You know, he's hit that a bit, right? So it happens to all comedians. Again, not that Candy was a physical comedian. He had, again, aspects of it, but his time would have, you know, run too. I mean, but he had at least another 10 years doing some nice, you know, funny comedies like this. Would have loved to have seen it. And I love the two different stories here too. How he speaks to his kids and how Roman speaks to his kids. Roman speaks to his kids like they're adults. Like they're 40 or like they're 40. And he's like, oh, this is the way it is, you know, and well, I think he doesn't know how to relate to them as children and to be a father. Now, eventually we see that happen, right? When he saves his girls and he becomes a dad and he mellows out a bit and he softens a bit, you know, and he's not such the hard shell, the facade is broken, right? But I love this, how he talks to them like they're 30. You know, or 40. It's so funny. Cody says, I'm half drunk here. Yeah, it's oh, you're quoting. I thought you were saying that you were. I'm half drunk here, Chet. What are you trying to do? Give me nightmares for a month? God, I love that. It's true. I'm 25 pounds overweight. What are you trying to do? Oh, the raccoon scene. Happy Sandra says, Dave, you're literally the background voice that keeps my ADHD at bay when I play video games and I'm at work. I don't even need to have the movie going. It's totally true, really, at the end of the day. But you know what? I like that. I like when people say that. They use me as sort of like a talk radio thing, because that is really, somebody said that to me 3 or 4 years ago. And like, I'm not officially that, but out of all the channels in our space, I think I'm probably the most like that, like a talk radio kind of thing, right? I come on, I gab for a while, I answer questions, we hang out, you know, sometimes I have a guest, sometimes I don't. That's why I've always said I'm not really a movie reviewer. I do review the Halloween ones because it's Halloween, but I don't do the review game. I couldn't. Oh, it'd be so much work. My hat goes off to those guys and gals that do it. It's incredible how many movie reviews they do in like a week. I just like to hang out. Really, at the end of it, I just like to hang out and talk movies. Because then it doesn't feel like I'm working, you know? It's because they can't relate to you, Roman, excuse me. I love this. He's scratching his out. And the girls really look like they're laughing there. Like, I wonder if they, like, it's so cute. Like, they really look like they had a giggle. I love that. I love that a lot. Frank Riker says, John Candy and JFK, you're as crazy as your mama. Cock-a-doodle-doo, daddy. Yeah, John Candy was great in JFK. Great in JFK in that role. He was a very good dramatic actor. You know, I mean, you saw bits and pieces of it at the end of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I mean, it still gets me to this day. That's my favorite John Candy film of all time, is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Excuse me. And still to this day, when we get to that scene, when Neil Page walks in and there he is. And it gets me in the feels that he was brilliant at that, you know, because he was such a lovable guy. And by all accounts, again, I never met him, but my dad said he was so nice and so patient with his time. And everybody that I've known who's talked about him has always said he was a big guy too. He was like 6 foot. Well, I mean, you know, most people are big compared to me. I'm only 5'8", but I think he was like 6'3" or something like that. He was a big guy and obviously, you know, hefty, right? So he was tall and, but by all accounts, from anything I've ever seen on him, just a really gentle man, really nice guy with a big heart, you know? But yeah, I think my favorite, like I love this one. I love Planes, Trains. I do like Uncle Buck too. I think that's a good one. Yeah, so The Great Outdoors, Planes, Trains, Uncle Buck, Who's Harry Crumb. He was pretty good in Brewster's Millions too. I think that's the one with Richard Pryor. He was pretty good in that one too. Was he in Joe versus the Volcano? No. There was some other, no, The Volunteers. It was The Volunteers. That's the one, The Volunteers. And I think Tom Hanks was in that one too, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was called The Volunteers. I'm getting that and Joe versus the Volcano mixed up. I think it's the Vol and Volcano and Volunteers, and I think it's the V. Cool Runnings, yeah. Reese Wilson says Cool Runnings wasn't bad either. Yeah, that's a good one. Yes, that's a really good one. Based on a true story. I mean, based on a true story. You know, they took some liberties, but the core of it about the Jamaican bobsled team and how they fucking wiped out and they had to carry themselves across the finish. All that is true. And John Candy did play, you know, a real life character of that guy. And, but yeah, that was a good movie. I really like Only the Lonely. I put Only the Lonely on the list for the poll, but I understood why it didn't win. I mean, I was pulling for Who's Harry Crumb, but The Great Outdoors won by a landslide. And, but the other ones on the list were Delirious, Only the Lonely, Armed and Dangerous, If you haven't seen those movies, you got to check them out. You got to go back and have a Candy Fest. You got to have a John Candy Fest, especially if you like, 80s comedies and you like John Candy. Maybe there's some you haven't seen. You got to go back. If you're maybe a bit younger and you're not into it, I mean, then you'll probably just find them boring because they look like old movies now, but I fucking love them. We're at the water skiing scene. John Candy is... I love... Because clearly it's not him out there, but it's funny to look at this master shot sort of the entire thing, and it's just funny to imagine that that's him. The close-ups are him, but I don't think that's him behind the boat. So good. Cody says, I'm 5'8" as well, Dave. Oh, cool. 148, maybe 150 on my best day. To the little guys. That's right. Cheers to the little guys. It's funny. I actually weighed myself. Oh, I have no more water left. I actually weighed myself last week, I think it was, and I was 158 when I weighed myself. I'm usually about 165, but I've lost about 7 pounds, and I think it's because I'm eating a little better, and I been running a bit longer, like farther, I mean, on my jogs. So yeah, we're probably in around the same. Well, I'm a bit of a stockier guy anyway, but like I have thick legs. I've always had that, but yeah, I'm 5'8". Yeah. So yeah, we're about the same size. That's funny. Frank says, it's funny because every character John Candy played is different in personality. This Chet is different than the Chester in Summer Rental, done to the core. Yes, that's right. I forgot his name was Chester in Summer Rental. I love Summer Rental. I think that's a funny movie too. I like when he shows up at the beginning of the movie and he's like they show up at the wrong house, right? I love that. That's a good movie. I think that was on the list. There were 6 movies, and I think it was The Great Outdoors, Who's Harry Crumb, Summer Rental, Only the Lonely, Delirious, and Armed and Dangerous. I think were the 6 movies, the 6 John Candy movies I put up. Obviously, I didn't put Vacation up because it's not his movie. He's just at the end of the movie. And Splash, it's not really, Cody says, I feel like Farley and Spade, especially in Tommy Boy, are reminiscent of these two because you have 2 comedic actors that can be serious too. Yeah, very good point. Yeah, Farley and Spade were good together. Farley, though, was a clearly defined physical comedian, right? Most of the laughs from Chris Farley came because, I hate to say it, but became because he was fat. And whenever you're fat and you're doing physical comedy, not that there isn't talent behind him. I mean, it's like, you could say the same thing about Melissa McCarthy. I adore Melissa McCarthy. I think she's extraordinarily talented and funny. There definitely is something that goes beyond that. But if you are a little on the chunky side, it can help to make it a bit funnier, especially with the falls and the trips and all that kind of stuff. There's just something about, it can just look really funny. But Chris Farley was great. He was great. And again, gone too soon. He went after he died in 98? Something like that. No, his was different. He was into the drugs and all that kind of shit. Whereas Candy, I'm not saying Candy had never done drugs in his life. I don't know, but he died of a heart attack, and I think he was just huge, Especially when you see him in Wagons East, which was the last movie he did. He looks big in that movie. He looks big for sure. Yeah, Reese Wilson says Beverly Hills Ninja is a guilty pleasure of mine. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not going to tell you what the teenagers do there. This is the movie that Dan Aykroyd did right before Ghostbusters 2. Because Ghostbusters 2 came out in 89. This is 88. So... yeah, I was right. He says he's 109 years old. You know, he's the oldest living man in Canada, kids. That's what he says. And because he said that, I thought they were in Canada. They were in a rural part of Canada, either in, BC, or anywhere. I mean, that's that. Yeah, so that's why. But they're not. They're in Wisconsin. I thought they had just crossed the border. I didn't think they were Canadian, like the characters were supposed to be Canadian. I never thought that. I just thought that they were American on a trip to Canada. They just crossed the border and went to a little town and up to cottage country and hung out. That's what I thought this was, but it's not. So what the hell is this 109-year-old Canadian guy, this dead guy doing in Wisconsin? I don't know. I love this. So good. He's dead. It's Weekend at Bernie's right here. I love the end credits of this movie too, when you have Land of 1,000 Dances by Wilson Pickett. 1, 2, 3. What the hell was that? 1, 2, 3. I'm still getting over my cold. He's like, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Ow! Boom, 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 boom. Love that. That was a terrible rendition of it, but you get what I'm saying. Every now and then I feel like I can push my voice a little bit, but still getting over it a little bit. Still a little something there. Wilson Pickett and the Land of 1,000 Dances. I fucking love that song. That's a great song. Frank says, when's the last time everyone's been camping? It's been years for me when I wasn't even the age to drink. Oh, wow. The last time I went camping was probably about 10 or 11 years ago. 11 years ago. No, 10, 11, 12 years ago. I can't believe it. That's 12 years ago now. But yeah, I'd say 12 years ago was the last time I went camping. You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I hate sleeping in, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. But the whole sleeping in a tent thing and that whole thing, I think it's because I'm somebody that tends to get up and go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. And there's nothing more annoying than being in a sleeping bag in a tent and you're like, oh, I gotta go pee. And you got to undo the sleeping bag, get up, do the whole, the opening of the tent. You go out, it's chilly and you're peeing off and then you get back in and it's annoying. It's frustrating. So that part of camping, I don't like. However, I really do like the campfire. I love campfires. Of course, you don't have to go camping to have a campfire now. Depending on what the bylaws are, you can have them in your backyard. But I love a campfire. I love sitting around a campfire. I love sitting around a campfire with friends. I love starting the fire, being the fire person that, putting the logs in and cooking marshmallows or s'mores or whatever. I just love the whole idea. I love the campfire smell. I even don't mind if my clothes smell a little bit like the campfire. I like that. I really like that part of camping. But the actual sleeping in a tent, I don't hate sleeping in a tent. I actually quite like it, actually. It's kind of fun. But it's just the getting up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. It's so fucking annoying. It's so annoying. We're at the bear scene here. These big those are black bears. Those are not, which are still big, but those are not grizzlies. Those are black bears. Happy Sanjo says, Swayze dying was hard to watch. Dude was so good in so many films. I guess you guys are talking about Patrick Swayze. Yeah, but no, I agree with you. Very, very sad. That was what, 09, something like that. Pancreatic cancer, I think he had. That was sad. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Andrew Stevens says, I always wonder what John Candy would look like in a Ghostbusters movie. Yeah, well, he was tapped, not to play one of the Ghostbusters, I don't think. He was tapped to play the Rick Moranis role. And Candy was going to do it, I think. And I could totally see John Candy doing that role. But he wanted to do it with a German accent. And Ivan Reitman was like, no, we kind of want you to just play it like this or whatever. And I guess they had a bit of a disagreement. I don't know if that was the full reason why he didn't do it, but I know that he almost did it. Yeah. Louis Telly. Yeah. He almost played the role of Louis Telly. And I could see that. I could see that. I could see him as a Ghostbuster too. The thing with John Candy is that, you know, there was a tight-knit group, and that tight-knit group was Bill Murray, you know, Harold Ramis, John Belushi. They all, John Candy, I've always got the feeling that Candy wasn't, because he had, like in 1984, Candy hadn't even done his own movie yet. He'd been in movies, but he was an SCTV guy, and he had played bit parts in films like Vacation and Splash and things like that. But it wasn't until the year after Ghostbusters where Candy actually, you know, led his own movie in Summer Rental. So maybe if Candy had not peaked, but had a few films under his belt, maybe he would have been offered something else other than the bit. Not that, to be fair, Louis Telly isn't a bit part. It's actually a major role in the film. But to be fair, it actually is. But maybe they would have thought of John Candy had Ghostbusters come out a few years later to actually be one of the Ghostbusters. Because I could totally see him as a Ghostbuster too. 100% I could see him as a Ghostbuster. But Louis Telly, I could see that as well. Yeah, for sure. This is when they go out onto the boat, I think. Don't they wake up with leeches on them or something? Frank says, going camping brings out some primal instincts in us, I guess. Safety around the fire, too. Yep. Oh, yeah. I got to have safety. I remember, I mean, you know, you wouldn't really do, well, I would totally do this now because I'm a kid at heart. But I remember when I would camp, like, I don't know, it was a high school field trip or, you know, when you're in your early 20s and you go camping. It was a lot of fun to play. We'd often play like we'd play hide and seek, but it'd be in the dark. But it'd be like total, like, it was scary. It was actually really scary playing hide and seek in the dark. And I think the person doing the seeking could use a flashlight, obviously, but the people hiding couldn't. And so you could see the flashlight, but then you had to like race back to home base, and home base was the fire pit or the fire. That was a lot of fun. I would totally do that now in my 40s. I don't know if other people would want to do I don't know. It's not, you know, as you get older, people tend to lose that kind of fun and you see it as kind of silly and childish, but it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it because you really could feel the adrenaline, you know, because it's at night and all the shadows are around you and you're in the woods and, you know, and you can see them searching for you, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, Rick Moranis. Yeah, Rick Moranis. Maybe we could do a Rick Moranis one. I want to do that. I really want to watch Who's Harry Crumb at some point too. But yeah, we could have a Rick. Yeah, throw on. Well, I guess you throw on Ghostbusters, but again, it's more of an ensemble. But Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Yeah, Little Shop of Horrors. There's a lot of good Rick Moranis movies. But he was a guy too, like he had some leads. I mean, Spaceballs, right? he was in some, yeah, he was in some leads, but he was in a lot of films where he played that other, you know, that supporting role too. Yeah, could we get some service, man? What's going on? Spaceballs would be fun, says Reese Wilson. I think so too. I love Spaceballs. I love it. What the hell am I looking at? When does this happen in the movie? Now. Everything that happens now is happening now. What happened to then? We passed then. When? Just now. We're at now. We'll go back to then. When? Now. Now. I can't. Why? We missed it. When? Just now. When will then be now? Soon. So good. I love that scene. Of course, you know, I mean, it's not really funny if you're not a Star Wars fan. You know, I mean, it's funny, but it really helps to have that Star Wars perspective, because then you get everything, you know. And unfortunately, Spaceballs came out 4 years after Return of the Jedi, so it didn't. I don't think it did very well. It kind of was like people were done, you know, with Star Wars. It's just too bad they never made another one. Spaceballs 2, the search for more money, or the rumored Spaceballs 3, In Search of 2. That would have been that's a great title. I still think that's a great title to this day. Spaceballs 3, In Search of 2. Oh, I'd be there. Hey, Kyle Curtis Flett, what's going on, man? Good to see you in here. Frank says, can you spell that? No, I don't think so. Try with a D, Harry Crumb. Oh, no, with a D. Yeah, I remember that scene. I do. I love when he's got, isn't Harry Crumb the one where he's got the beard and then it ends up in his chest hair or something? Because he's this masseuse. He's playing all these different... If you guys haven't seen Who's Harry Crumb and you love John Candy, you've got to see Who's Harry Crumb. He's playing like many different characters. And it's so silly. It's slapsticky. Like it's silly humor, but it's funny. It's John Candy at his best, you know? I think that movie came out in 88 too, actually. I love the way Chet looks here. Look at him. The way he's it looks like he's just been through hell. He's been through absolute hell. That's so funny. Looks like he looks like he smells like shit. Roman looks like he's ready to start a children's petting zoo. Excuse me. This little subplot with the girl doesn't really go anywhere. I think it was just kind of to give this character something to do, because it doesn't really, like, I don't even think she's in on the climax of the movie. It's not like the arc between them leads her to the cabin and she helps out and she gets stuck there with him. Not that I think that she should have. I don't think she's relevant in that regard, but it's just funny. Oh, this is good. This is the guy that gets hit by lightning. 6 times. Wow, 66 times. Yes, I love this. He's like 6 times. Wow, and then he keeps going 66 times or something to this. He says something like that. It's so good. In the head. Yes. He's got the big white streak down his head. Looks like a skunk. This is so great. I'm gonna turn this up so you guys can hear that. Well, you guys, if you're watching along with me, you can hear it. But for those that can't,
his hair turned white because lightning hit him. Yeah, he's been struck by lightning. How many times is it now, Reg?
Here we go.
6 times. 66 times.
In the head.
That's gotta hurt. Yeah, you'll never meet a guy more tuned into the barometric pressure than Reg is. If you see him running like hell for home, you head for cover. Right, Reg?
Aw, poor Reg.
I gotta go to John. I'll be right back.
I fucking love that. I think that's so funny. It's one of my favorite moments in the head. And they're like, wow. 66 times in the head. In the head. First of all, the chances of getting struck by lightning twice is so astronomically low. And there's a scene here coming up soon where they show that he gets hit in the head again. He gets struck. So technically, by the end of the movie, he's been hit in the head 67 times. That's so good. Yeah. Reese says, well, he's got the hair. He does. He does. The big white stripe down the back. It's so good. Annette Bening. Yeah, this little subplot here with I mean, it makes sense. Like, I understand it. Like, I believe it because, yeah, going away for like a week or whatever, and you're up at a cottage, and there's like this little, not this little girl, but there's a girl who piques your interest, and you guys hang out, and there's like a little, romance that blossoms throughout the week, and then, you have to go home at the end, and totally, that shit does happen. It happens all the time, for sure, especially at that age, because at that age, you're like 16, 17, you don't want to be hanging out with your parents all the time, and you naturally gravitate towards other kids your age, whether they've come up to vacation as well, or they live there in the town, or whatever the case is. Totally happens. 100%. So I believe I believe in it. It's always struck me as a little kind of like, well, we need something for this kid to do, so now they're making out on the boat. I don't even think you ever see her again, do you? So you just made out with her and that was it. And then I don't know if you ever see her again. Annette Bening is great in this movie. I wish Annette Bening would have done, well, she was great. And I love her in The American President with Michael Douglas. That's a great movie. If you guys haven't seen The American President, you got to watch it. It's great. Frank says, that's right, Dave. He had fake chest hair and it landed on a naked girl's crotch and he quickly used it as a beard. Yes. Yes. That's it. I love that. It's so silly. And he looks like it's just such a silly movie. I love when, he gets the bumper of the car hooked onto and by the way, Who's Harry Crumb also stars Annie Potts, Janine from Ghostbusters. He gets the bumper of this sort of Rolls-Royce type car, this fancy car, hooked onto the back of the bad guy's car, right? So now they're like this. Well, the bad guys don't know that he's accidentally hooked his car, so everywhere they turn, he goes, but it just looks like he's so good at following them. And I'll never forget as a kid just thinking it was so funny when the bad guy was like, geez, this guy's good. And it's like, no, he's not really. He's a detective and he's in a long line of detectives in his family. And or a private eye or something like that. He investigates things, right? But he just falls ass backwards into success. That's what it is. Like he's a imbecile, really. But there's always that one thing that he ends up doing right that ends up solving the whole thing. It's that kind of movie. You know what I mean? I could have, you know what? If Who's Harry Crumb had done better, because I don't think it did great. But if it had really taken off, I could have seen them doing another one with that character. This is funny too. John Candy looks like the fucking fisherman from I Know What You Did Last Summer here, sort of. All because they're trying to... I told you when we were shooting It's Me, Billy, there was a bat. Well, there were a couple of bats. When we went up to the attic to clean, because you had to clean the space and everything, because it's an attic, right? There was a bat up there. We named him Reggie. And you'd see him, and you'd hear him too. We could hear him. I think he was wondering what the hell we were doing. But when we set action, when we actually rolled on the scenes that we shot up there, he didn't make a peep. It's like he knew what we were doing. We're like, okay, all right, I'll be quiet. And then in the basement, there were bats down there too. I remember walking into the basement. We were going to shoot, I think we were going to shoot the scene with, the only scene that takes place in the basement, which is the Billy carrying Sam down the hall. And we were down there setting up early in the morning. And I remember just seeing a bat fly down that hallway, just, and I was like, whoa, I was like, holy shit. And it's a different bat. It wasn't Reggie. I think it was his wife. And we had a name for her too, but I can't remember it now. Bats are cool. I hear them. If I go for a jog at nighttime in the summer, I'll hear them out on the path. Like I'll be jogging on a path and I'll hear them. You can tell it's a bat. Oh, the poor bat. It's so silly. Oh no, there's the girl. Okay, so she does have another scene. She's still there. Yeah, I guess it's all right. I guess this little subplot's not bothering me really. Reese Wilson says Dan Aykroyd is wearing a basket on his head like the three storms in Big Trouble in Little China. Yes. Yeah, I didn't even make that connection or think about that, but you're right. Frank says, careful with those bats can carry rabies. They indeed they can, Frank. Yes, that is true. Yet we need them to kill the mosquitoes. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You're right. Got to be careful. Bats can carry rabies, 100%. It's cool though. I've never seen a bat. Like I've seen them on TV and things like that. And you can pull up a bat on a YouTube video. But when I've been jogging out on the path by my house, I'll hear them. And I'll see them too. Like I'll sometimes think, and they're fast, man. They're really fast. I mean, it's a mouse with wings or a little rat with wings. Essentially, it's kind of what it's like. And then, not quite, but you know what I'm trying to say. And then it's a rodent with wings. And then, when we were shooting Billy, we didn't see, we just saw them fly by us. We didn't get a real good look at them. But it was just part of the whole, of course we're shooting in an old house like this. Of course there's bats in the attic. Of course. We were just worried because he was a loud noise when we were sweeping and setting up. And we're like, oh, come on, Reggie, you got to be quiet, because we were rolling audio. If we weren't rolling audio, we were just shooting MOS, then it wouldn't be a big deal. But we needed to record audio, so... I was like, damn. And he shut up. That's why Reggie's cool. Oh, we're at the scene here. I've always... Okay, could anybody in the chat room, anybody watching after the fact, could you honestly eat this entire steak? Could you do it? There's no way I could do it. No. I'm not a big enough guy. I don't have a big enough stomach. There's absolutely no way I could do this. And obviously John Candy doesn't really do it either. He probably could do it. I don't understand though, but to be fair, the size of somebody is not, look at all those tiny women that sign up for hot dog eating contests and shit and scarf down 160 hot dogs. And there's a method to it with, the water and the shit and all that stuff. But that is so gross to me. I don't understand how people can eat that kind of stuff. I like food like we all do, but I like eating a nice meal and feeling full, not sick, but just I feel fine. This is good. You know, I hate feeling like I hate the feeling that I've overeaten. And we've all done it, right? We've all overeaten and we're like, oh, I hate that feel. I hate the feeling. I do. My body hates it. But this is a funny scene though. The sweat coming off him and he's saying, hey, I did it. I did it. Looks like he's, oh yeah, that's right. He's got to eat the gristle.
That ain't the last bite.
That ain't the last bite.
On that plate, but gristle and fat.
Oh, God, no.
No problem. Listen, if I can get a dessert down him, think you could throw in a couple of Paul Bunyan hats for the kids?
He did it. I ate a 96er. 96-ounce steak. You wouldn't have to eat for 6 weeks. I need a shirt that says I conquered the 96er. Yes, you do, Frank. Yes, you do. And I'd be very curious to see if anybody picks up on the reference. Frank follows up and says, I think I could. Just need to starve myself for a week. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think I could. And I wouldn't want to either. Like, I'd be like, I mean, the only way I would maybe give it a shot, like try, is if somebody's like, hey, we'll give you $10 million to eat. Oh, well, all right. Okay. But I would not do it for a free meal. Like, if you eat this entire fucking thing, you don't have to pay for it. I would rather pay for my meal and eat a regular meal. You know what I mean? So there has to be like some sort of massive monetary prize. Otherwise, I'm out. And even then, I probably couldn't do it. But I do find it funny that there are these really petite women that are like world hot dog eating champions. It just blows my mind. Oh, the amount of, it's so gross. It makes me want to vomit. All that meat and sludge in your gut. Oh, like I like a hot dog, like, the next person, right? Go to a baseball game or something, get a nice big hot dog or whatever. Yeah. But I'm not sitting there eating fucking Oscar Mayer wiener. Like, oh God, so gross. I don't care what the prize is. Andrew Stevens says, whoa, what a beef. I probably could and throw it right back up afterwards. Cody says, I love how he starts gasping at Roman for protection, or grasping at Roman for protection. Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, here's a scene here where they all wake up in the boat with leeches on them. I knew there was a scene in this movie that was like that. You're going to need a bigger toilet, says Reese. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's so gross. It's just so ironic. Like, and the world champion is, Lucy Johnson. And she's like 5'2", 110. And you're like, what? What? Like, I really don't like the feeling of overeating. I've overate, as we all have, at certain points, maybe at like a big Thanksgiving dinner or a buffet, or actually buffets. It's funny. I love buffets. Who doesn't, right? The problem with me, and my girlfriend is the same way, and she's, petite as well. So so it makes sense. But what's funny is that I love the idea of buffets. I love buffets. I love going to buffets. But, I can put this on the plate and that on the plate. I can mix this and that. I love it. The problem is I can only eat so much. So if I go to like the Mandarin or something, I think you guys have the Mandarin in the States, right? I think so. Maybe not. Anyway, any buffet house, right? I go, I'll pile up one plate. I'll go back to the table. I'll eat it. And then I'll go back for seconds, but I'm already feeling like I'm full. Not full, but like I'm because I've eaten food. And you're mixing all sorts of shit that you just wouldn't normally mix, right? You got the French fries with the chicken, with the rice, with, you're not usually doing that. So you become full fairly fast. So I really only manage about a plate and a half or 2 plates maybe at a buffet. And then I'm like, well, I want to have a little bit of dessert. So I go and I get I'm terrible. It's pointless. It's pointless. You know, and then I've spent like $25 or whatever it is, right? You know, or however much it is. So yeah, I love buffets because I love the food, but I always feel so like, you know, it's too bad. I wish I could be like those people I see who keep going up for like, I'm going up for my 6th plate. And you're like, holy fuck, where are you storing it? Where are you packing it in? Also, too, I guess if you don't eat like that, and because I'm not a big eater either, like I don't eat big meals on the regular. So I guess if you don't do that on the regular basis, you also can get full faster. Whereas if you are a bigger person or you eat bigger meals all the time, then obviously you have more room, right? So it makes sense even scientifically, but it's so frustrating because I want to go up and just go, because this food looks so amazing. Here comes the insults.
Roman, you ain't even seen pushing yet. You know the trouble with you, Ripley? You wouldn't know a good time if it fell out of the sky, landed on your face, and started to wiggle. A lot of nerve, Roman. A lot of nerve. It served me well. I'm the one with the Mercedes.
Ooh, I love it at betting there. Ooh, yeah.
Jealous? Chester?
Don't call me Chester. You call me that one more time, you're gonna go home with a dent in your forehead.
Oh, yeah, that'll be the day.
Would you like one to match his?
Hey, take it out. You want to go right now?
Dad. No one's denting anybody.
I love it.
Thanks, Bucky.
Oh, bite the big one, Uncle Roman.
Hey,
Bite the big
don't
one.
do adults that way.
Why not?
Because it's rude.
Oh, blow it out your ass.
I used to say that as a kid. Not to my parents or whatever, right? But blow it out your ass. It's funny what you pick up. When I was a kid, I got all my material from like Alf, Three's Company, you know, The Goonies, you know, cartoons, He-Man, you know, and this was a line that I used to say in school to my friends or whatever, right? And of course, you know, as a kid, you say it like any chance you, even when it doesn't make any sense. You know, it'd be like, hey, you want to go play basketball at recess or something? Blow it out your ass. You know, you just like the way it sounds. And because you're like, you know, 9 or 10, you know, you feel cool by saying, blow it out your ass. You know, I did used to say that. And this is where I would have gotten it from. Totally. It's so good. Frank says, well, what would be worse, overeating of meat or ice cream? Ooh, well, ice cream, see, what would be worse? I think full is full. Something tells me meat would be worse. Oh, here he is. He's going to get hit by lightning. Hang on. Or did he just, no. He hasn't yet. He's about to. I think meat would be worse. But ice cream might be worse for your body because it's just sugar. And then, you know, whereas the meat, at least it's protein. So it might just be a matter of feeling like what it feels like in your gut. You know, I don't know. But no matter what, like overeating is just, yeah, I try not to do it. I hate it. I remember one time I think the last time I really overate this is a long time ago, maybe 15 years ago. I was hanging out with Bruce and we went out with a friend of his to some buffet. I think we had just helped him move or maybe helped Bruce move or something. And so we were really hungry because we were moving all day. And I went to this buffet and I overate. And I remember walking back to his car and going, oh my God, I feel like shit. Of course, it always goes away in a few hours, but it's awful. Frank says, my wife actually thinks John Candy was quite handsome. I assume his personality brings that out. Yeah, I could see that. For sure. You know, he's I mean, obviously, yeah, he's not classically handsome. He's not Brad Pitt, you know, in terms of the, you know, the features and, you know, or tall. Oh, he's tall, but, you know, dark, you know what I mean, right? But yeah, I think what makes John Candy so attractive is that he is the kind of guy, a lot of the characters that he plays, he comes across as a trustworthy, you know, family man, lovable, huggable, always trying to do the right thing, great sense of humor. A lot of women love a man that's funny, with a great sense of humor, especially when they get older. In high school, it's all about looks, but as you get older, yeah. I would agree. I think part of that is his personality, for sure. Maybe even the whole thing. I don't know. John Candy's he's a bigger guy, but he's not an ugly guy. Some people are, and I hate to say this, all right, but some people are big and they just look, you know what I'm saying? He's I think because he's also tall, he gets away with it a little bit. You can tell he's a big guy, but like I said, he's tall. He's 6'2" or 3, I think. So, but yeah. And I think John Candy, well, he was married, had a couple of kids. Andrew Stevens says, go find a spin cycle. That's funny too. He's like, yeah, go find a spin cycle. Yeah, what the hell does that mean? Because it was a joke from earlier, right? And John Candy has no idea what's going on. Ice cream would be worse now. Meat later. Maybe ice cream and meat. What if you have a giant steak and you pour ice cream all over it and that's what you have to eat? Oh, God. Man. Cody says, all that protein, that's going to come back on you, or out of you, rather. It's true. It's true. Yeah. Oh, it's true. Is this where they don't know where the girls are? Oh, no. No, he's leaving. He's leaving, but he's leaving with the girls, right?
Well, I think it's a
yeah, that's right.
Testament to the strength of the family that we can disagree so vehemently and get on each other's nerves so badly over the past week and still part on good terms.
I like this scene too because Chet, Roman, it's the arc for his character, right? He knows that he's bullshitted Chet and he just needed the money and he's not telling him the truth and he feels bad. He feels guilty, because he starts to, it's just a moment that he starts to realize. And I like this moment, because for the whole movie, Roman's been that guy, right? That character. So it's really nice to see, this switch happen. Of course, this is part of his arc. He's can't do it. There he is. He's turning around. Doing around.
I'll be all right once I settle this.
Yeah, and then it just cuts to this. God. It's like a puppy dog or something. Frank says, Dave, do you think Candy could have played Hank's character in The Burbs? Oh, for sure. Yep. Yeah, there's some actors, because Hanks and Candy, when it came to their comedy, because obviously Hanks began in comedy, right? He got his first Academy Award nomination for Big, but even before that, going back to, Bosom Buddies and The Money Pit, and, even before he got really big towards the end of the 80s there, he was in comedy. And Tom Hanks and John Candy are similar comedians in their movies, right? Like Hanks is often a lovable kind of guy, always trying to do the right thing and the family man and that kind of stuff. And Candy was that kind of a lovable sort of comedian as well. Like I said earlier in the show, you do have physical aspects to their comedy, but they wouldn't be classified as physical comedians, right? It's not like a Jerry Lewis or a John Ritter or a Jim Carrey, where they really rely on the physicality and the pratfalls and the slips and the face and all this kind of stuff. So Candy and Hanks in their comedy films are very similar to each other. So I could absolutely see John Candy playing Hanks's character in The Burbs, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Here he is. There he is. He was hit by lightning for the 67th time. There it is, folks. There it is. We're coming to the climax here. Hey, Darren from the Slaughtered Lamb has made his way into the chat. Said, odd movie, never released in the UK, just VHS. I think I remember you saying this. Yeah, I remember you saying that. That's strange that it wasn't. Well, I guess there's, it's not unprecedented, right? There's a few movies you've talked about that either have never been released over there or got much later releases and things like that. I adore this movie. I think it's I think it's great. Again, not my favorite Candy movie, but definitely top 5 for sure. I just think the whole ensemble is great. Annette Bening is great. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I think it's her first movie that she was ever in. She's great. She's great at comedy, great timing. Dan Aykroyd, of course. I mean, he's brilliant as Roman. It's just a really good film, in terms of comedies, 80s comedies. But I don't think it did all that well. What did it do? A Great Outdoors? What did it do? Curious. What was the budget? What did it do? Will it tell us? Yeah, budget was $24 million. Wow. It's higher than I thought. But it's probably because of Aykroyd and Candy. That's funny. There's a photo of Aykroyd and Candy here, and Candy looks like it's on the set of The Great Outdoors, but Aykroyd must be on a step or something, because Candy literally looks like he's 7 inches shorter than Aykroyd. That's funny. Anyways, it made $43.4 million at the box office. So yeah, it wasn't a hit or anything like that on a $24 million budget. It wasn't a hit. But one of my favorites for sure. Oh, where'd you guys go here? There you guys are. Wait, there we are. Reese Wilson says, I reckon Candy could have even played Art in The Burbs. Although, yes, he could have. Yes, he could have. Yeah, he could have played him too, for sure. For sure, yeah. Oh, yeah. And he's dead now too, isn't he? I think. Is he dead? I think he died, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he died 7 years ago. But you're right. He could have played him. Yep. Cody says, Dan Aykroyd gives a damn good performance in My Girl. He does. Yep. That was, what year was that? 92, I think? 91 or whatever. I can't even really remember My Girl 2. I remember when I watched My Girl back at that time, because I would have been 13 when it came out or something, 14 maybe. And Macaulay Culkin was a big name at that time, and it was shocking when he died at the end of the movie, because this is Home Alone kid, this is the Good Son kid, this is Home Alone 2 kid, this is Macaulay Culkin, and I remember just being, oh wow, they actually did kill him. But of course, you had to do that. I mean, it made sense. It's much more impactful, right? It brings the whole message and everything home, but it didn't need a sequel, for God's sakes. My Girl 2, some other guy. Didn't need a sequel. 91. Wow, okay, 91. So 10, 11, so I was 12. So I was I guess they were in and around that age. Yeah, it makes sense. Cammy looks like Nancy from Stranger Things. Who's Cammy? Who are we talking about now? I'm confused. The Boy Who Could Fly. Wasn't that oh, you mean the girl, the main girl, I know who you're talking about now. Yeah, she kind of does. She kind of does look like her. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, my top 5 Candy movies would be in no particular order, although Planes, Trains is my favorite. But my top 5 would definitely be John Candy movies, not just movies he's appeared in, because you could choose. I adore Vacation, but that's not his movie, right? Planes, Trains, The Great Outdoors, Uncle Buck, Who's Harry Crumb, and probably Only the Lonely. It's hard to choose that over Delirious, but I think I do like Only the Lonely better than Delirious. I think it's a better movie. So I think those would be my top 5 Candy films, I think, in terms of his comedy. Oh, but then Summer Rental. I really like Summer Rental. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough. I love that. I love this, that Roman acts like a fucking father, finally, saves his little girls. They leave. Candy comes back. He's like, I'm here, I got it. And he pulls the bear up. I always thought that was funny. I thought that was, as if you wouldn't know you're pulling a bear up. Bear's probably like, 650 pounds. You suspend your disbelief a little bit, but I do find that kind of funny. And then, of course, he comes back. He's like, big bear, chase me. And then the door comes in and it's like, oh, my God. And I love Roman's face, too. And he's like, it's so fun. When the bear, he stands up on all fours because the bear's like, 8 feet tall. And just the way they shoot it, the angle, and the lens they use, you really get like, it's the way Dan Aykroyd, he's got like the fire poker or something and he backs into the corner and he's like, it looks so funny. Like you really get actually the sense that this bear is huge. Huge. The bear's huge. Ree says, My Girl 2, Electric Boogaloo. Yeah. I don't even remember that. Like I can see the cover of the film, My Girl 2. But I don't even know if I've watched it. Some people think that I can't tell you, and I guess I understand, but I can't tell you how many times people have asked me if Veda, my cat, was named after the Veda in My Girl. And I'm like, oh, no, I forgot. No, she's named after Darth Vader. But because she's a girl, my girlfriend was like, well, why don't we call her Veda? It's like Vader, but it's feminine. It's like the feminine version of Vader. We were just thinking this, right? And I was like, yeah, it's a great idea. The My Girl movie didn't even cross our minds. So no, she is, and she's black, right? So it makes sense, right? So no, she's named after Darth Vader. She's around here somewhere. Where are you, Poohin? I call her Poohin. If you have animals, you call them everything but their name. Oh, look at this. Very rarely do I call her Veda. She's Poochuck, Poohin. I think I call her Schnooks. Is it Schnooks or Munch? I'll call her Munch. Hey, Munch, what's up? I'll say, hey, Munch. Just little cute little pet names that, you know what I mean? You call her everything under the sun but Veda. I love how the roar of the bear wakes him up in bed. There's Candy. He's going back. And I love that when he gets back, they're all sitting there minding their own business. Like, they got the fire going, they're having tea or whatever. They're not even worried about him. Like, you'd think that Roman would have gone back out to be like, hey, maybe I should go and look for Chet. No. I love that shot. That goes to the way, obviously that's not John. Well, they have, the close-ups of Candy, but they're using a double. But that actually looked like him there in that one shot. But there's a shot in this film, it's past already, where you see the guy who's supposed to be John Candy run, and that bear is huge. That's a big bear. Okay, here we are. Look, they're just sitting there all casual.
Hey! Where the hell were you?
Come on in, I'm making you a sandwich.
Yeah, making sandwiches and shit.
Big? All right, we'll make a big one. Big bear.
I love Annette Bening.
We're glad you're home, honey.
Big bear, chase! Big bear, chase!
What does he say?
What? Big bear, chase me!
I love it. Look at the size of that bear. Fuck. Look at the size of him compared to the guy underneath the board. Holy shit. Or the dummy or whatever. That shot that I was talking about when the bear stands up on all fours. Here it comes. I think it's coming up here in a second. Yeah. He grabs the fire poker. Here it comes. God, I'd hate to come across a bear like that. And they're up here. Well, not in Ontario, but they're in Canada, obviously. Here it comes. Oh, I thought, yeah, that shot there. That shot right there. Yeah, when he's backed into the corner and he's like, and the bee looks so tiny compared to this bear. It's just the depth of field. It's just the way it looks. It just looks so good. But then again, with a bear that size, I mean, you know, there's not much you got to do to make somebody look small. But thank goodness we don't have grizzlies in Ontario. I don't think we have grizzlies in Ontario. They're out in BC, of course. We have black bears in Ontario. So, you know, if you're ever out in the woods in Ontario, depending on where you are, you still got to be mindful that, oh, there might be a black bear out here. But grizzlies are. I'm going to be honest with you. This always bothers me. I don't know if it was fake. Well, no, it's not. I guess because they shit. This always bothered me. It's still, I don't know what it is. It always, because I love animals, right? And just the way they shoot and yeah, here it comes. He splits like that. It always, and then seeing him run out of the house with his ass. I don't know how they did that. Did they actually, it must be a prosthetic on him. It must be a prosthetic on him. And then he ran away, I guess. I don't know if that's... I don't know. It always bothered me as a kid because like, oh, the poor bear, what happened? I guess it's something on him. I don't know. Does anybody know if they actually shaved the bear's... I don't think the bear's ass would look like that. First of all, it looks very human. It's probably something they actually put on. Because it's a trained bear, right? But it always bothered me as a kid. I was always like, oh, no. Poor animal. Bart the Bear was also in The Edge with Hopkins and Baldwin. Yes, you're right. Bart the Bear, great actor. Yeah, great actor. Academy Award winning. You're right. Yep. Yeah, that's right. Because The Edge was I think The Edge was 98 or 99, late 90s, I think. Yeah, he was in a few movies. Oh, no, okay, the girl does make it to the end. They do have closure. I always thought that she just kind of... But she is kind of just left there, like... Anyways. Yeah, she does kind of look like, what's-her-face? This kid looks like somebody. Forget.
You're not so bad yourself.
Yeah, well.
Race you home. You got it.
Race, yo.
Race you home.
This is so funny.
Take care. Bye-bye. Race you home. Why would he say race me home? I mean, he lives way the hell out in Oak Park.
It's just till he gets on his feet, honey. I think you should be proud of him not wanting to take your loan.
What are you saying?
That could have been the start of a sequel right there.
We have plenty of room.
Connie?
If he beats us...
He is not staying in
honey,
our house.
if he beats us, he'll get the good spot in the garage.
To the memories.
To the memories.
Here comes the land of 1,000 dances. Fucking love this song.
Get the hell in the car. We gotta beat Uncle Roman home. Move it, everybody!
Love this song! Ow! And that's it, folks. The Great Outdoors, 1988. John Candy, Dan Aykroyd. And I love this scene. I love this scene at the end of the movie when they're all dancing in the bar and you got Wilson Pickett's The Land of 1,000 Dances blasted and Dan Aykroyd's gyrating his hips like he's fucking had 19 beers. He's getting into it too. He's getting into it. I love it. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Love it. Like, I loved this song as a kid too. And Annette Bening's just sitting there with a fucking olive in her hand. This is a fun. Yeah, and it totally is like their characters, right? You got Roman, who's a little more extroverted and outgoing, so he's naturally the one that's out there on the dance floor. And Chet, of course, is just kind of, at the back. Na 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 na. Come on, y'all, say it. Let's one more. Come on, y'all. Let's say it one more time. That's what I wanted to say. Come on, y'all. Let's say it one more time. It's great stuff. Great stuff. Roman sucking on legs. I know. It's like, what are you doing? He's clearly had way too much to drink. Way too much to drink. Needs to pack it in. His wife doesn't care. No, they're probably swingers. He doesn't care. Or she doesn't care. I love the way he's just lying. And look at this bar, too. It's so, like, out in the cat, moose and goats on the wall. He's going crazy. I never really noticed how fucking crazy Roman is going. Gyrating his hips. Finally gets... Oh, no. That's fucking Chet's wife. That's right. He's been dancing with her the whole time. Yeah, little Chet shy in the corner. Well, it is my brother-in-law. Whatever. Nice little fade out, and then you run the rest of the credits. It's great stuff. Great stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Great stuff. So good. So good. Folks, if you are watching after the fact, comment below and let me know your thoughts on The Great Outdoors. Is it a movie you've seen? Maybe you haven't seen it. Like I said, if you're a big John Candy fan, or if you just like John Candy because you like Uncle Buck, or you like his little cameo in Home Alone, or you like Planes, Trains, and you haven't seen The Great Outdoors, you've got to watch it. It's got Dan Aykroyd, too. Two great Canadian comedic titans going head-to-head. And it's a funny movie. It's a funny movie. So make sure you check it out. If you have seen it, comment below and let me know your thoughts on it. And give me your top 5, top 10, I don't know, whatever, favorite John Candy movies. I'd like to know. But yeah, that's going to do it. That's going to do it for this episode of Saturday Movie Night, episode 37. If Saturday Movie Night interests you and you want to get in on it, the link to my Patreon is in the description below. If you want to get in on the voting, you got to be part of level number 3. But if you just want to take part in the live show, you can be part of level number 2 and get access to that. So anyways, thanks everybody who watched live, who came in and out. We got Frank Riker, Cody Snyder, Andrew Stevens, Kevin Fishgall was in here. Reese Wilson was in here too. Darren, of course, from The Slaughtered Lamb was in here. I think we had even Flett made his way in here at some point from Flett Lives. He was in here as well, which was great. Happy Sanjo made his way in here. It was a good stream, a good chat room, great conversations. Was a lot of fun. Thank you, of course, to my patrons, to everybody for your continued support to the channel each and every month. It is very much appreciated. Thank you so much for that. And I will be back soon. Well, I'll be back for everybody on Monday night. Another episode of Two Dudes and Some Bullshit Monday night. Make sure you tune in for that. Have a great rest of your weekend, everybody. And I will talk to you soon. All righty. Wait a minute. There we go. I almost hit the wrong one. All righty. Cheers.